Welcome to Back in the Dave, and I'm your host, David Knight, and this is an extremely exciting episode that I'm happy to share with you. I have known this gentleman for pretty close, well, no, not even pretty close, for at least 45 years, right? Julio Herrera and I met back in 1977. And we're going to get into how we met on the episode, but Julio Herrera is one of the most energetic and one of the most charismatic people that I've ever met in my life. He's funny. He's such a beautiful person, but he's also a band leader, a composer, a producer, and recording engineer in the music industry. Julio knows anybody and everybody, and he's such a great resource that so many other musicians and writers and producers have relied on over the decades just for resources, confidence, get out there and do your thing. I can't say enough positive about Julio, quite frankly. And so I wanted all of you to meet him. He is the founder and leader of the Rock and Roll Soul Orchestra, and we're going to hear his music as well. But so I don't get so deep, because y'all know I can run my mouth and talk, so I don't get so deep into this. Let's jump on over to the interview, and let me introduce you guys to Mr. Julio Herrera. Here we go. Julio, come on in, man. What's happening?
Hey, what's up?
Nothing much, man. How you been?
I've been good.
That's good, man. It's good to see you. Of course, my phone rings as soon as we get cranking.
Of course.
But it's all good. It's good to see you, man. It's really good to see you. It's good to connect with you and all that kind of fun
Same here,
stuff.
Dave.
I wanted to bring you in, and I wanted my fans and people on my side of the fence to just meet you, because, as I've been telling them, man, you're like one of the most charismatic people I've known in my life.
Thank you.
Charismatic, energetic, and positive, And to me, that means everything to me, especially in the music industry, right? And so I wanted to take a moment, just kind of sit here with you, go back in the day, because we go way back.
Way back.
I want to bring people kind of up to date on kind of how far back we actually go and how it all came about. I'm going to tell the story right quick, because from your perspective, we were just introduced, we just met, right? That's
right.
That would be your perspective. But my perspective is a little bit deeper as to the time as to what happened. So I'm going to give a little bit of history there, and then they'll see what actually how things kind of transfer. So anyway, here we go. All right. So in '76, when I was all of 14, I went to a private school in Manhattan. Got tired of that. Really wanted to be with my brother Anthony, okay, and go to school with him and hang out with my older brother and just kind of be with him. So I bugged my mom for like the longest, man. I want to go to Cardozo with Anthony. I want to go to Cardozo with Anthony. So fine, in '77, she said fine, go to Cardozo. So to Cardozo I went. And when I get to Cardozo, I met two people, both through my brother. One with a gentleman by the name of Stanley Farr. Now remind you, this is a year later now. This is September 1977. So I get there, and when I get there, my brother, knowing that I'm into music, or at that point was just getting into music, right, introduced me to two people he felt would be helpful to me, okay? And so he introduced me to a gentleman by the name of Stanley Farr, who you and I both know, from back, we went to the same high school. And then he introduced me to you.
Sure.
Okay? And that kind of began our path of just knowing each other, both into music. I knew at that time, and I forgot who told me, but I knew at that time that you had done and were doing TV commercials. Correct?
Yeah.
Was one Kool-Aid? I think one was Kool-Aid, or was it Jello?
It was Get Wise. And there was a bunch of them. Was it a Jello? There was a Jello.
I thought there was a Kool-Aid and a Jello, because I remember seeing like a bunch of kids like running towards the camera.
Right, there were Big Newtons. That was a big one.
Right. So I mean, so to me it was like, okay, this is cool. Anthony, who all of anybody outside of the fame knows him as Tony. Only we call him. Everybody else calls him Tony.
Right.
Introduced me to you and Stanley. And then so by this time, this is 77. So now I'm 15. I think you're what? Got about a year on me. So you're like 16. So in that ballpark.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so like we were kids, man.
Yeah.
We were kids, and you were playing in different bands in high school. I was playing with Johnny and Vinny, and I met John and Vinny Byfield and those guys, you know, through Stanley Farr. We began doing things on that level. And then after school, after high school, you and I ended up at Five Towns College with everybody else. And
Good times. Good times.
Really good stuff. And neither one of us stayed there too long because we just had so many things going on with the music.
Amen.
And they didn't like that. The school really wasn't into that because back then, if you remember, you really couldn't do stuff in the music industry back in those days when you were going to Five Towns. They didn't want you.
Right.
They were like, you know, do school, you know, and then when school's over, get into the industry.
Right.
We kind of had a different way. We said, well, how about school's over now? And we go to
right.
we go in and call it a day, but it's good. So that's kind of the history of how we met. So you're talking, do the math, blah, 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 45 years.
Wow.
45 years, man. 45 years. I will be 60 in August. So this coming August, we're in 2022. And so yeah, this won't show until 2021, but everybody know I record this stuff early because I'm tired. But I want to show you some stuff. Check this out. And when I show you these, give me your first impression, your first thoughts when I show this to you. I'm gonna show you 3. All right. This is number 1.
Boom. Awesome.
All right. Dr. Bazaar's original Savannah Band.
Yes, sir.
1976.
A classic record. A classic. That helped me with my production, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Because it was such big band.
Yes.
Chez La Femme. As a matter of fact, I did Chez La Femme over again on this album.
You did a cover of it?
Yes, I did.
Oh, okay.
I played every instrument myself, too.
So,
and my lead vocalist, Valerie Kelly, sounds just like Corey Day. And I just had to do it.
All right, so I got to check that out. That out. All right, we're going to play some of that stuff. This album was such a pivotal album in music because, I mean, at this same year, around the same time is when Chic came out also.
Yeah.
They were changing sounds too, but that sound was so, Dr. Bazaar's original Savannah Band, that sound was so original.
Yes.
In 1976, because, I mean, the big band type sound era but they had the funk going on at the same time. So,
well, the big band never left. It just changed its colors a little bit.
But, and it was, go ahead.
Gamble and Huff I've always considered them big band. Everything that Gamble and Huff did, everything that Sean and Ken Carey did over at South Soul, actually all those musicians are the same musicians.
That's right.
At Sigma Sound Studios in Philly. But yes, big band, I thought big band never left. You know, I mean, it was that record in particular was a mixture of big band, R&B, and swing.
Yeah.
So when I say big band, I really mean swing.
Yeah.
All the Calloway stuff, Duke Ellington, Count Basie.
Yep.
Oh, there's an arranger that's my favorite, and his name slips me right now, and I love this guy. Oh, Young Cap back then, Louis Armstrong. Everybody was in his band, in his orchestra. Right. He had the orchestra at Roselands in the 40s and the 30s. I'm talking about.
Right.
Man, what's his name? It escapes me. He's a great arranger.
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. I'll get it. Once I do, I'll get it back. I'll get back to you.
Yeah, no. If you hear it in your head while we're talking, just drop his name in as we're talking. You know.
But that Savannah Band album, very, very pivotal and timely. I mean, we were in high school when this record came out.
Yeah, I was in 9th grade.
Yeah, and I was really just getting my oats about music when that album came out.
So was I.
Turns out later on, when I learned how to hang out in Manhattan and really got into my hustling thing as far as being a musician, whether I knew it or not, I would go and I ended up meeting all those people on that album.
Yeah.
Over at Burt Padell's office, the accounting office.
Yeah. I know you're going to put names in here that I haven't heard.
In years, I know.
In decades, man.
Like Stanley Farr, when you said that was like, wow.
Yeah.
I've heard that name in a long time.
Stanley Farr, man. And I'm going to drop another name that we both know that all you folks out there, you don't know this gentleman. and he's no longer with us. But I cannot have this conversation with you and not bring up James Jackson.
Wow.
Okay.
I gotta take a knee behind that name.
Yeah, I can't.
Woo! James Jackson.
James
Man, hit me hard, Dave.
I know.
Hit me hard.
I can't talk to anybody from our neighborhood, and again, we're all just so people understand.
Right.
We're all from Queens.
Right.
I'm gonna hit on some Queens stuff in a few minutes, but we're all from Queens.
That's the deepest Queens you can go right there.
James
Jackson was the first premier hot drummer around here.
Yes.
Hot.
Yes.
Because he knew what it took. He knew who the new cats was.
Yeah.
He knew what records to go to, because that's how we all really learn what we learn. We would go get the records.
That's right.
And just try to copy them and try to replay those parts.
Right.
Which actually made us better musicians because they were at a high caliber.
Yeah.
James Jackson's cousin is Steve Jordan.
Steve Jordan. That's
Steve
right.
Jordan is the drummer on Steely Dan. Steve Jordan is the drummer for the Blues Brothers. Steve Jordan is your all-around number. Steve Jordan happens to now be the drummer for the Rolling Stones.
Yep. And he also sat in on SNL.
Right.
And also with, if I remember, also David Letterman.
Yes.
I think Hiram was in there, Hiram Bullock, and all those guys were all part of that.
Right.
That was that whole. Those were the guys who were a little older than us.
The New York Session Cats.
New York
that
Session
we were
Cats.
fortunate enough to be able to rub elbows with.
Yeah, very much so.
If you want to hang out. It was through Cardozo. In Cardozo, we had another friend of ours. I don't know if you have you met Kabid? Did you know Kabid Hakim?
Oh, yes.
Of course you do.
Yes, of course.
So Kabid Hakim and I was thick as thieves, especially when I got let go of Cardozo, because I didn't graduate from Cardozo. I graduated.
I didn't get my diploma. People think I didn't get it, man. On my math test, I got like a 65 on my math test, or 64, and they wouldn't give it to me. I was like, well, okay, I'm out. So I broke out.
Wow.
Go ahead, man.
That was a strange time.
It was. But it was a good time at the same time.
Anyway, with him, I learned how to go into the city and go hustle, because we got kicked out together. Yeah. We met each other on the 27 bus, and I didn't know how I was going to explain it to my moms that,
yeah,
I was told not to come back to this edifice.
Yeah.
Great day.
It was. Didn't feel like it back then, but it was.
But today,
it was
it's a whole different story. Yep.
I felt that way. For me, it was a little different. I wasn't asked not to come back, but I remember them telling me that they weren't going to give me a diploma until I took the test and at least got 65 on the test. Now, I got like a 63, 64 on the test. In my mind, they're just messing with it, because they could have just given me 2 freaking points or whatever.
Right.
Could have found them.
Right.
But they didn't. And so I remember the bus ride home on the 27 and then the 77.
Right.
I was a little depressed because, my dad was no joke. But nobody ever said anything. Neither of my parents ever said anything. It just went like, well, school's over for Dave and we don't know what happened. He's doing his music thing. For Dave.
Really?
Oh yeah, I was shocked out of my mind. I was shocked, but I think my parents were still dealing with the death of my brother. We all were, obviously, and so I just think that they were just like, so you know what, man?
They gave you a pass.
Yeah, and it was beautiful because I just went on and did my thing from that point forward. But I want to rewind for a minute, man. I got a bunch of stuff I'm going to ask you. I'm going to see if I get through all of my stuff that I have here for you, man, because
Go for it.
I want to dig in. And if it means me editing this thing down to, two parts, I don't care. But I want to come back to James Jackson just for a hot second. First thing is that people need to understand the type of drummer James Jackson was. And the best way I think I can explain James as the type of drummer where fans and non-musicians will understand his level of drumming.
Right.
James and I used to get together in his basement. Okay, just bass and drums, just playing, just he and I just playing, And he would do like damn near a buzz roll with his foot. Okay?
Right.
Yeah, like but with his foot, not on the snare, but with his foot, and not using double pedals.
Right.
Okay, and I was like, damn. I was like, dude,
He had skills.
you sit down here a lot, and that's a beautiful thing because that's what you do. That's
Right.
what you do. And between the tutelage from Steve and his practicing,
Right.
and him just wanting to be the best, and on top of that, was just a humble, lovable brother. You know, I was about 4 months older than him. He was born in, I believe, December of '62. I was born in August of '62. And all the folks out there don't know that we lost James back in 1986.
Wow.
Just devastated.
Fast. I was devastated. So an asthma attack.
Yeah, from an asthma attack. I think it was out in LA playing drums with Lilo Thomas on Lilo Thomas.
Freddie Jackson.
Freddie Jackson session. I forget. You know,
So,
and
I never forget that. That was devastating.
yo, I just, when I heard the news, man, I just was like, okay, it blew a community up.
Yes, it did.
Not only, for a lack of better word, regular people community, but the music queens.
Right. He was an up and coming.
Yeah.
We had a gig. We was playing for we did the record for Ron Miller and Burt Reed, Raw Silk.
Mm-hmm.
Do It to the Music.
Yeah. Yep.
And he got his signed to West End Records, and it was supposed to be me, James Jackson, Paul Frawley,
I know Paul very well.
and Clyde McFadden, along with Ron Miller on guitar. We was the band. But James Jackson had unfortunately died just before the big showcase gig.
Yep.
So that's when I got to play with Howie Great for the very first time. Because he called those guys in when James died.
Yeah.
What a deep time. Also, you know who else was in that band too?
Who?
Jessica Cleaves.
I don't know Jessica.
Jessica Cleaves is the only female singer on Earth, Wind & Fire. Keep your hands to that.
Oh, yes.
And she had also been with Parliament Funkadelic and George Clinton and them for long.
Yes.
Ron Miller stuck me in a cab with her on the way to Queens.
Right.
It's a crazy ride, awesome ride. That was like, wow, Jessica Cleaves. And even on top of all of that, she comes from Friends of Distinction.
Right.
You know, Stone Cold Picnic and I Can Dig It, You Can Dig It, Dig It.
Yeah.
At that time, wow, we was what?
When that song came out, shit, 7, 8 years old probably. When that.
Right, no, I'm talking about the Raw Silk thing. That was after 5 times. Right. With Sybil Thomas was the lead singer on that. But no, Bernice Thomas.
Really?
Yeah, which is what's his name's daughter. Do the breakdown, children. Dun, dun,
Break on down. Not Clarence. No.
Rufus Thomas.
Rufus Thomas. Do the funky chick.
Right.
Oh man! And didn't she also do Tramp with Otis Redding, or is that another daughter that he had? Because one of his daughters.
That was another daughter. I think he had like 5 daughters.
Yeah, and one of Rufus Thomas' daughters did on the vocals with the female.
On Tramp.
On Tramp.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was an awesome time, man.
Well, that brings me to one of my questions I wanted to ask you. You know, what did music look and feel like for you back in the 60s and 70s? If you follow the question, what did it look and feel like for you?
Wow. Music looked and felt like, back then, as a teenager, I was such a part of it. It's what I knew what I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I was blindly in love with music.
Yeah.
Music looked like the biggest girl that I could never get or could get, because I was still trying to get a record deal and still trying to do productions and all that kind of stuff. But music was everything to me.
Yeah.
Even more than acting. And I'd accomplished some things as an actor.
Yeah, I remember.
But music was like, wow. It was like,
go ahead.
My blanket and bottle.
Yeah.
It was very, very comforting to me.
And for me, now I don't know if you can relate to what I'm going to say. For me, even my pre-professional music days, like like when I was like 5, 6, 7 years old, just kind of tinkering around in the piano, and my parents had bought me a drum set that I had bugged them for, and even my pre I want to be a musician days, before that conscious decision I made in '76, I want to be a musician. All the years before that, music was still for me very subconscious.
Dang.
I was listening to it different, I was absorbing it different. I was attracted to it very different, listening in a deeper way. I mean, can you relate to me that? Like before you were really playing an instrument and getting into music on a more conscious level, on that subconscious level, do you recall how you felt about music on that level?
I truly fell in love with music when we was in Cardozo.
Yeah.
I used to cut class and go down to the piano
Yeah.
in the auditorium.
Oh God.
In
Yeah.
particular. We caught each other there a couple of times.
Yeah.
And got free. I mean, better known as Wasi today.
Yeah. Yeah.
We'd always.
Yeah, we were in jazz band together.
They would never let me in jazz band.
I don't know how I got in, because when I got to Cardozo, I had just had my first bass guitar. August. I got my first bass guitar in August of '77. Prior to that, for the previous year, I was playing the 4 bass strings on my sister's acoustic guitar.
As a bass player, that's the passion. That's the one. That's beautiful.
I mean, because the upper B and E string on the guitar, on her acoustic guitar, they popped off. I know what to play bass. I'm like, well, the 4 strings are here. I'll play it like this. I just played it
right.
Oh man, my parents refused to buy me
another instrument that you won't play. They ain't playing that guitar.
You keep on buying these damn instruments. He ain't playing nothing. So I went to a higher court. My grandparents. Now, I want a bass guitar. Well, did you ask your parents? Yeah, I did. What'd they say? They ain't buying me nothing. Well, I guess that's it. And I went the whole year from August of '76 to August of '77 playing my sister's acoustic. I'd walk around the house showing my parents, I'm playing it, see, I'm playing it, and they weren't trying to hear it. But on my birthday in '77, my grandparents pulled up in the driveway, said, give me the key to the trunk of the car. Here, go open the trunk of the car. Pull some stuff out of there for you and the family. I was like, all right. I went back there, I saw my amplifier and my first...
An amp too?
Yeah, and I still have the amp.
Awesome. What kind of amp was it?
It was a Marlboro 15-inch.
Wow, did it have the red thing on top of it?
No.
That's a reissue.
Yeah. It was just, I mean, that guitar, that amp now is like 45 years old. It'll be 45 years old next month.
Wow.
I still have it,
I couldn't tell you where my first Fender Rhodes is. I gave it away.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm
sorry that I did. But I was moving around so much that I didn't really have room. You know what I mean?
And at that time, those were just the instruments that we played, so we never knew the value that instrument would have 30, 40, 50. We didn't know that a Fender Rhodes was going to be all the big rave in the 21st century. Well, I would have kept it.
Right. But you know what? Today, what I figured back then is I've got 149,000 Fender Rhodes sounds, and even the ones that I can't even, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's all in the software now.
Yeah.
On the software.
Wow.
So with that, now I know it's different for every people, so I got another question for you, and I know it's different for everybody, but what sparks, this is kind of, I know this, what sparks your creativity in music? Is it the music, the lyrics, production, technology? Like, what gets, what's
the technology question has been answered a while ago for me, because I'm crazy with technology.
Oh my, I get it.
I've been engineering.
But does it spark creativity for you?
Yes.
Yep.
Sure, a good loop.
Of course.
A good loop, because I used to do, like, when I had my own studio open on Hollis, it was all hip hop all day long. Davey D was down the block. John Master J would pop in every once in a while.
Yeah.
I pretty much had all the heavyweights up at my place at one time or another. So we did a lot of loops. We did a lot of hip hop, 808s, loops, Isaac Hayes,
Yep.
working with S9000, S900s, Akai,
Yep.
and just
50s, all that.
right, all of that stuff, and putting it from vinyl and taking a 33 record and making it 45 so you can squeeze as much time as you possibly can into it. Now today it's unlimited, but
yeah. Back then,
it only had a few seconds.
I had about 3 seconds. Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah.
have S950 in my old rack behind me, or my old analog
Right.
behind me. But I remember doing my studio back in those days. By this time, I was in Long Island. By this time, in my house, and
Okay.
I had the studio in there, and we would just loop stuff with 3 seconds, and he had to lock that bad boy into the sequence. It was ridiculous, you know. But
Yeah.
do you feel that you have something? Does something influence you more than something else, maybe? In other words, does like a lyric influence you more than the music or technology, or?
It comes from the craziest places, man. It could be anything. It could be a hook. Somebody could sing something. I remember one time being influenced by "Listen to Your Heart." I'm screaming. I'm screaming, and that was in a piece of a great movie called Miller's Crossing, done by the Coens, and that took that hook and made a whole complete song out of it.
Yeah.
It all depends on what it is. It doesn't depend on anything, but anything could be the influence, Dave.
Isn't it amazing how when somebody says something, it sparks?
Sure.
I mean, my brother Anthony, he said something to me years ago that sparked, back in '85, that sparked a song that I wrote called Visions.
Wow.
Just from the conversation that he and I had, I was so moved by what he said in the conversation, and some of the things that he shared with me in his life at that time, you know, which I really wish I could share because it's such a beautiful story. But his story at the time just sparked, you know, this song I wrote called Visions, man. And so you just never know where it's going to come from, you know. There are times I can just pull up a sound in a synthesizer and hear a sound and be like, wow, that's
right.
And
formulating chords and stuff.
Yeah, and it just brings on a whole song. The creative process is just, to me, unbelievable. But let me shift gears for a second. I want to get into your band, the Rock and Roll Soul Orchestra, right?
Okay, the R&R Soul Orchestra.
R&R Soul Orchestra. Why your band? Why that kind of band? And explain the band, because it's a really awesome band. It's a really awesome concept, you know. And I want to play some of the stuff when we kind of talk about the band a little bit more.
Awesome. It started out in Montreal, Canada. I got a job at Capital EMI as an A&R dude. I was 30, I was 29, 28, 27. I went up there for a remix and I never came back.
Yeah.
And part of that was working their records, you know, and solidifying their hip hop, since I was the New Yorker.
Right.
And as a matter of fact, I had gotten that job from meeting this dude at the New Music Seminar. And by that time, I was already working with people like Bobby Condes and Salam Revy, and I was up in D&D doing remixes for most of the major labels for all the reggae stuff, because Bob Condes was this big reggae dude. So we mixed a lot of stuff, everybody, from Shaba to Maxi. So in that time, everything was busy, and this guy gave me an offer to come do a remix on one of the songs. And I took it and I went up there and got comfortable. It got comfortable real quick. You know, 3 years later, I was like, I hit a glass wall, because we'd already been on tour. The group that I was promoting and working on had become the opening act for Vanilla Ice. And at that time, they got a little piece in the Teenage Mutant Turtles movie.
Yeah.
Those are the things that was happening at that time.
Yep.
SDK was around. Shug had started to show his face. And I couldn't go any higher in Montreal, Capital EMI. So I came home.
Mm-hmm.
I came home, and all that I learned, I thought that I could use that to get a deal. So I put a record together
Mm-hmm.
from the same group that I started in Montreal, Canada. I like big names.
Yeah.
The R&R Soul Orchestra, the Boom Brothers Flying Circus.
Yeah.
I just like the long, big names. Dr. Buzzard's Original Savannah Band.
Yeah. I get it.
Those kind of names just kind of turned me on. So I'm sorry?
No, those type of names excite you is what I'm saying.
Yeah. So I knew that I had to put a package together. And I got people here that I trusted as writers because I didn't want to write everything and I wanted it to be good. So if I wanted it to be good, that means that I needed help.
Mm-hmm.
So I enlisted 3 other people. One guy was my cousin, one guy was a young lady named Veronica Day, and the other guy was Larry Williams that I'd known from working around hip hop with Twin and Big Daddy Kane and just working around hip hop. He was a good friend of mine. And we've done sessions with each other where everybody that I just mentioned were great writers.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have to worry about it. I had to come up with every single song.
Yeah.
So I put stuff together and I thought that we were going to be able to do some stuff by maybe Allison Williams, who had been hanging around at that time. And that was the idea to get her the songs. One thing led to another. My cassette tape ended up at the hands of Kevin Evans in RCA, New York. And before you knew it, we had a record deal. So I gave everybody 10 grand from that record deal and we set out to go make the record. And strangely enough, the demo was awesome. So it was basically just taking that demo and making it 24 tracks.
Right.
But after we did all of that, the record got shelved.
Yep.
That was nuts.
Yep. But typical for that.
Yes, for that time.
Yeah.
It was crazy money everywhere. But after all of that work, it got shelved. They signed us, they signed Tyrese, and they signed SWV all at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So we obviously got dropped.
Yep.
And that was cool.
Yeah.
I got a little depressed. I got a lot of depressed.
Yeah.
And I wanted to see this record out some kind of way. And as I got older, I got sicker. The cardiomyopathy came in, the heart disease, all of that stuff.
Right.
So I figured I wasn't getting no younger. So I figured just go ahead and do that same album again. And now I could put it out myself.
That's right.
So that's 2015. So I put together the rest of the album. And when I got shelved at RCA, so now I have 16 songs ready to go.
Right.
And I just release little bit by little bit because I didn't know what to do about promotions and marketing. So I would take my iPhone and turn it around on camera and put it and point it towards my Mac and Pro Tools and then press play and let the music happen.
Right.
And strangely enough, people responded.
Yeah.
Yeah. After that, they went to my SoundCloud because I was going to take all the songs that I was doing and put them on SoundCloud. Because at that time, when you go to make a meeting, you need to have it somewhere where they can just press it up and come up. No more CDs, no more cassettes.
Right. That time is over.
Yeah. So you got to put it on your computer and be able to do that. So that's what I was doing. And since I put it on SoundCloud, once they saw my name off the Facebook thing, they started to go to my SoundCloud. And before you know it, I got a whole bunch of UK DJs telling me that I could really sell a lot of music in the UK.
Yeah.
So I got together with TuneCore and I made a label, the American R&B Company. And my manager and I got together and formed a company, and solidified everything. Mm-hmm. And we're rolling now. We've got, since 2015, one album out and working on the second album now, which we're releasing one song at a time.
Yep.
Saves me.
Awesome. It saves you a lot, yeah.
Yes, it does.
Yeah. Now, going down that path, do you feel, and I'm saying, just for all the folks listening, I'm saying on a music business side, if you had to choose between the era that we grew up in, music business-wise, versus the era we're in now, music business-wise, do you have a preference?
Good question. I remember the music business that where we were.
Mm-hmm.
If I had known now, if I had known now what I could have known back then, this whole conversation would be totally different. But then again, I'm glad because I'm earning every single fan one person at a time.
Yeah.
Some of them even reach out to you and have general conversations about what you're doing, what's going on.
Yes. Yes.
So I think well, look, I would go up to a record label quick fast and go get a quick 10 grand deal just on 2 songs alone. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But then again, that's institutionalized slavery.
Yes. Yes, it is. But, oh boy, here we go. For me, I like better now. I like the way it is now because for me, it's like out of this room into the fans' hands.
Right.
So the people who are listening to this podcast and the people who are on my Facebook page and on my email list and all the people who enjoy what I'm doing here, you know, they're just there's no middleman, man.
Right.
It's just from here to here, and I try to make it as personal with all of them as I can because we grew up in an era where things was personal. It's like yo, I'm not getting on the computer to say hi to you when we were growing up. I'm going down the block. I'm going to Mike's house. I'm ringing Mike's doorbell. Hi, Mrs. Harrison. Can Michael come out and play? That's what all of us did, you know, prior to getting music sickness.
Right.
Music sickness is terminal. It's a terminal condition.
Right.
You know, it's going to take you out, but that's okay. Right. I'm good with that.
But it's the right kind of cancer that I would love to have.
Like every time, boy.
So I'm so addicted. I'm so addicted.
You cannot be. I think, and I heard about the internet back in 1984 because I was heavy into technology, doing multimedia stuff, and I was with the geeks, man, who were like programming and coding and stuff back.
Manhattan Project and all of that stuff.
Oh man, I was doing multimedia stuff for video games back in the mid '90s. Okay. And scoring independent films and stuff in the mid '90s and all that. When you only had like maybe 8 gigabytes or 2 or 3 megabytes to get your song on. But these people were telling me at that time, Dave, something's coming out called the internet in a few years. And just imagine this, Dave. Imagine being able to come into your studio here where we are now in your studio and write a song, record the song, mix the song, and then sell it to your fans right here.
Right.
This is 1994. 1994. I'm like, oh, I can't wait. And
that's hot.
97 is when it came in, but the internet kind of hit. It kind of came in, but it's taken it this long. It has taken it this long to get to that.
Right. Regularization.
Right.
So it's regular.
Right. So you're talking 1995. You're talking what? You're talking almost 30 years before it got to where we're actually doing that from out of our studios into the fans' hands. You know, but I don't care. I still like it. You know, and Web3 in the metaverse is even more of it. I am so into the technology from decades ago. It's just crazy. So I look forward to doing that stuff. But what I want to do, you know, without rushing out and getting crazy, I want to play a video of one of your songs.
Oh, cool.
Right? I want folks to see and hear this. I want to know what you're up to. So I'm going to play it, and let's check it out. All right?
Very cool.
This is called Call on Me from the R&R Soul Orchestra. Here we go.
Call on me. Call on me. Long time together.
Sounds good. And uh, I think stuff like that is what people are looking for these days. You know, I just think it's just really good dance, vocals, instrumentation, orchestration. It's just good stuff, man.
Thank you, Dave.
it's just, it's just really freaking good stuff.
I never, you know what? I switched trends when Teddy came out.
Mm-hmm.
When Teddy came out, we all was doing New Jack Swing.
That's true. That's true.
I still do a little New Jack Swing right every once in a while to annoy myself. Just to see if I can still do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yep.
But I want to remain true to R&B, the same R&B that you and I grew up to, man.
Yep. That's how I feel. And I mean, I don't talk about it much anymore, but I used to get a lot of blowback on it. You know, oh, that's old music and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
You know,
Old school.
you're not really grown anymore. And it's just, it's old school. And I'm like, you know what? There are millions of people out there from our generation who still want to hear new music
Done this way.
done this way. And I'm going to fill that void.
Yes.
And this is one of the reasons why I really, really wanted you on the show.
Oh,
Because
good for you.
I know that's your direction too.
Oh,
I
thank
know
you.
all the other people, you're welcome, man. I know all the other people who are doing music from our generation. This is what we do. And that's one reason why I love this era, because we don't have to compromise anymore. We don't have to think about, oh, well, I did a country western song. How are we gonna market a country western song?
Avicii. Oh, good time. I got a good feeling. That's all country western.
Yeah. But
I was black. That's all country western. It's all music at this point.
that's it. That's it.
George Clinton said 12, or Quincy Jones said there's only 12 notes. That's it.
That's it. What you gonna do? Now, here's the thing. When I was going through my divorce back in the
I'm
90s,
sorry.
nah, man, it's all good. It was.
Private.
I should say when I was going through my life lessons, because that's really what it was. My life growth is really what it was. And I still continue to go through those things as I.
God bless you.
But when I was going through that period of my life back then, I was not in the mindset to do music. I just had my studio. I would go in there and tinker around. I had lost my timing. I had lost my harmony. I couldn't hear harmony anymore. I mean, a bunch of stuff happened to me. I've since got all that stuff back.
Yeah. Amen.
But one thing I did at that time, I had to make some money because I wasn't doing my studio, because if I ain't got my timing in my ears and stuff, who am I going to mix and write?
Right.
Well, I can't,
Right.
So I sat in the studio just messing around with jerking the gherkin, as far as I'm concerned. But I took a job driving a school bus. I got my commercial license, took a job driving a school bus.
CDL.
Yeah, and I did that for a few years. And one year I did it. I drove for a Catholic school up in Westchester. By this time, I had moved from Long Island to Westchester. And it was a bus full of girls from 9th grade to 12th grade. And this was in the late 90s. And it was so great driving these girls back and forth to school every day, because I became Uncle Dave,
Yeah.
And so we're having great conversations and we're talking about everything. And of course, they would talk music at that time, And at that time,
Telling you what's hip and what's not hip anymore.
huh?
Telling you what's hip and what's not hip anymore. That's what I love about the youngsters.
Yeah, they did. But what they began to say, which made me say, Dave, okay, things come full circle, is they began saying, our music, what we have, is like kind of like crap. And I'll use those words because they were using other words on the bus. I was like, yo,
Compared to their parents' music.
yeah, I'm like, yo, calm it down. But they would say, Dave, when I hear my parents' music, and many of their parents were actually at that time, many of their parents were actually younger than me, but not by much,
Right.
maybe late 60s, early 70s, stuff like that. They're probably their parents probably in their early 50s,
Right.
somewhere in that ballpark now. But anyway, I'm tired of our music. They don't talk about nothing. And they would say, I listen to Luther Vandross. Like, I like Never Too Much, And I was like, wow, the young people are starting to listen to what we know is awesome stuff, you know? And that made me say, okay, then that means not only is our generation out there looking for new music, new sounds, you know, that reminds us of our time and our generation, but some of the young heads are too. And I'm not gonna say everybody, but some of the young heads out there are as well. You know, and I think that's good. And I think that what's going on online with technology and the internet, I think it's all a beautiful thing because you can market and market and market on your own now and build your audience base and do music. And no matter what you do, I'm doing classical stuff now as well. And so to bring my classical stuff that I'm doing on top of the funk and the dance stuff, and dude,
And find an audience. That's the wonderful thing about it.
Found an audience.
You can find an audience. They'll find you.
Yeah, yeah. And that's, to me, that's what it's about.
Yes,
now,
sir.
Now it's one-on-one fandom. It's artist
Yes.
to fan, one-on-one. You know, and they give me feedback on like, hey, man, that's a great song. That one's not so good, but work on this. I mean, well, we'll get to that offline, but it's just really great stuff. So I love it. I love it. Love it. What do you think is your biggest frustration as a band leader? I had my own.
That I don't have. I don't have a degree in psychology.
Damn it.
I truly understand what Maurice White and George Clinton had to go through. I have
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 people under me
Mm-hmm.
to create my show, the stage show that I want. All kinds of different lead singers, or drummers. I got some legends, you know, and everybody's got, well, not to say anything bad about anything, but head trips. We're all that
Everybody has their
baggage.
own individual characters and personalities.
Right.
And when I was a band leader for many years, and I'm going back down that road as soon as I get the album done. So I understand it. What you said was really spot on. When it comes to business and being an entrepreneur, just in business as a whole, there's money management, there's asset management.
Right.
There's, but the biggest management is asset management and money management. Those things are easy to manage. People management, people, that's a huge thing, you know.
Duke Ellington used it in his productions. As far as from what I read, that he played one musician against the other as far as getting the best out of everybody. Because that's the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal is to get the best and putting people in the places where they can win.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? For whatever it is that you're doing.
And helping them to feel good.
Yeah.
About your project and about what you're doing.
Lord knows you ain't got no money.
Yeah. And that stuff is really important.
You know what I mean?
Let me jump another topic with you right quick. We're gonna wrap it up pretty soon, buddy. I ain't gonna monopolize your whole time now.
You're good.
Just a little bit. Okay. What do you do for mind and body? You know, life is rough. Life bears down. Life has its hearts, its pain, and all that kind of stuff. So what do you do for mind and body to keep your mind and body just feeling good, up and going and stuff? Like, do you have any kind of practice that you do, or what's happening there?
I got saved, and one of the biggest part of being saved for me was the Bible study that I was kind of pushed into going to. And there was never not a want of not wanting, because by the time I got saved, I was sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Yeah.
So here we are. I was 25 when that happened. I'm 61 at the end of this month.
This month, right.
So we're looking at a good 40 years of being saved. And my continued conversations with our Lord Jesus Christ and just living that Bible as best as I possibly can helps with my strength and my confidence and my faith.
Yeah.
And that's a very, very, very big thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I still play 2 services on Sunday. What that means is that I'm always by the word and around those kind of people all the time.
Yeah.
So I'm fortunate about that kind of thing. And that's what kind of keeps me going.
That's beautiful, man. Beautiful. I just think it's important for, 'cause a lot of people think the music industry does this, the people music industry it just does that, but it's just life. It doesn't matter what industry you're in, it bears down on you, and if you don't have some type of something to keep spirit, heart, soul, body, mind, consciousness healthy and in line, you kind of, I'm not gonna say fall victim.
Right.
It just makes life that much more difficult, and if you can't find your way out of all the challenges that life gives you to grow you, it's like life is not doing things to you, you're doing life. Life is not doing things to you, you're doing life. But so many people feel that life is doing things to me, life is hurting me, life is killing me, but it's not. Life is giving you things to help you grow. But so many of us don't see it that way.
Right.
And so
why is this going on, and why is this happening? And
right. Why is all this stuff happening to me? Not ever saying, well, what am I doing to maybe help cause some of this stuff at the same time?
hello.
So it's that's why I asked that question, because with all that you do and all that's on your plate and all that you're putting around you and making happen and stuff, man, you got to have something. That's beautiful. Let me jump to something else for you. The state of African Americans and other people of color in this country.
It's a beautiful thing. I'm encouraged,
Yes.
especially by what has just happened in these last couple of years,
Yes.
where we had actual lynching out in the streets by the police officers.
Yep.
And that whole nine. And I'm encouraged.
I am too.
By Martin Luther and all those guys are gone, and they were our fathers. So we are them now.
Yeah.
And what I see coming up now, like I said, is encouraging.
I have to agree with you. And I asked that question because so many folks don't see that. And I think some of the folks our age are just in this silo where they just only see what they see.
Tainted.
Yes, but even better word, tainted. But I remember back in the late 60s, watching TV or running by the television with my brothers, being stupid in our house, being a kid, 6, 7, 8 years old back in those days. And my parents watching television, and I remember seeing the riots after King was assassinated. I remember seeing the riots, and I remember seeing that stuff. Didn't know what was going on. Nobody's playing
Right.
at that time, but I remember seeing it. And what I remember was seeing mostly cops in the streets with batons beating up black folks. Okay, every now and then you see a white person in there who is a supporter.
Right.
And many of them who lost their lives in those struggles back in those days as well. But what we have been seeing over the last several years, everybody's hitting the street. Black folks might be leading the charge. But whoa, when I was like, look at the sea of people who are
Right. Not just black.
folks from India,
Everybody.
Japan, white folks, Philippine folks, Latin. I was like, whoa.
And then the George Floyd demonstrations everywhere else, but in the George Floyd state, but everywhere in Amsterdam.
Yeah. It's time for it all to stop. It's time for it to stop. And I do feel that our people, we have to wake up at this point a little bit more. I do feel that. But so much more, and again, I don't want to get off on this because this is the topic, man, that I will get into until at least 6, 7 o'clock tonight, easy, without a problem. I'm very passionate about this topic, and we as artists and writers and producers, I think we have a rite of passage to discuss these topics.
Sure.
Okay, we write about it, we talk about it in our lyrics and our music. We talk about political topics, love, sex, dancing, all kind of crazy stuff. So we can talk about it in a forum like this, off of a 45 or off of an MP3 file. We can talk about it like this as well.
Right.
But I think it's really cool, man. I'm glad you see it there because so many don't.
Yeah.
So many.
I'm encouraged by all of it, man. Really.
So am I. So am I. It's
But then I'm a glass halfway full kind of person.
yep.
I think, I'm optimistic. I'm totally optimistic
You always have been.
because it's too easy to be sad, and that causes endorphins that may not help you live.
I won't go on that topic either, because people, you don't know it, but people listening to this podcast right now are saying, "Uh-oh, he hit a Dave topic. Uh-oh, let's get ready because this is gonna go a long time now." But nah, y'all, I'm gonna let it stay right. You're right. You hit it. Hammer on the nail.
That
Man.
stuff can kill you, Jack.
That's
I
right.
tell you.
I'm gonna let it go right there, man.
If you let it, but we won't let it.
Yeah, nah, it's good. All right, do me a favor. Name 3 of your all-time favorite songs. Damn. Take your time, bro. Take your time.
Wow. I'm coming from the heart with this.
Of course. I hope so.
Theme from the Valley of the Dolls.
Hmm.
That's one. Black Ivory, Mainline.
Wow, Black Ivory. Wow. One more.
Stevie Wonder, Overjoy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You said 3.
Yeah. No, that's those are 3 heavies, man. 3 good ones too. What I want to do, before we close this bad boy out, I want to play one more of your videos, man.
Awesome.
I want to get one more of your songs going so people can. I want people to hear your music. I want them to hear
Thank you.
what you can do. And I just want my fans, my people to hear what you're doing, bro. So let's cue up the next one. This is called. Hang on.
Nothing comes for free.
Comes for free. Make sure I got this bad boy here going.
Think about this all day. Love ain't easy, babe, and I'm no freak of the week. Takes more than mere little words to make our thing complete. We got to work harder each and every day for the heart to grow fonder. Oh, so fonder. Nothing ever comes for free. No, baby, prove yourself if you want to stay with me. Make that sacrifice. Yeah. One time in your life. You want me, baby. Love is not a game, girl, that we play every now and then. We gotta give it all we got if you truly wanna win. Don't think I'm asking for too much, 'cause I'm so far from you, and that's the truth. Lay my life on the line for your happiness. After it all, leave you silliness. Baby, keep in mind, the good love is hard to find. Why not make that sacrifice? Ooh, baby, prove yourself if you want to stay. If you really, really, really want it. One time in your life, ooh, baby.
Yeah, never seen it this smooth or this strong, this good or this hot. New pockets, young arms, don't know when it's worth. It's time to move on. About to switch it up, that's how I give it up. You stuck to the next, I'm ballin', spalding. it. I'm trying to make this full house. I'm all in. It's pay to play, so pay like you weigh. When you dealing with me, nothing comes for free.
I made my life on the line for your happiness. I'll do it all in your silliness. Baby, keep in mind, the good love is amplified. So why not make that sacrifice? Sometimes you gotta prove yourself to me. Make that sacrifice. Make that sacrifice. No paper comes. You gotta stop paying the road. 'Cause nothing in life ever comes for free. One time in your lifetime, if you want me, baby. If you really, really, really want me, we gotta stop playing around. Ooh, baby, you gotta get serious, baby.
Yeah, man, it's sweet.
Nice.
Good stuff, man.
Thank you, sir.
I love it, man. I love it. I love the
I
sound.
appreciate you. I appreciate you.
It sounds really good. Keep it going, buddy. Keep it going.
Thank you, sir.
All right, we're gonna pretty much wrap this up, but before we do, I gotta show you something else.
Uh-oh.
Got a couple here for you. Check it out. Thoughts?
Boom.
All right, thoughts on this? For those-
I still love playing this record.
That's right. Earth, Wind,
Way
and Fire.
way up, Papa, way up, way up.
Earth, Wind, and Fire, Sun Goddess, man.
The chord changes.
Amazing album. Amazing album.
But the cat on that album, to me, is Charles Stepney.
Yes. Yes.
He's
Who
my
died in
favorite
76.
producer. He's my favorite. He's
Did
up there with Quincy.
I agree. I've posted, I don't know if you saw this, I posted on my Facebook page, on my fan page, where they found that they're about to do a whole big documentary.
Yes, his daughters.
Yes, and they found or have a
Tapes.
visual, an original version demo of "That's the Way of the World."
It's awesome. They published it already.
Yeah, you heard it.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It's amazing how close the finished product sounds to what he heard.
Philip Bailey said Charles Stepney is the cat that could tell Maurice White the way to go, and Maurice White will go.
You go. Yeah,
It was a bad dude.
he was. He was.
The Minnie Riperton stuff. He's one of my favorites.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, what do you say? I mean, Sun Goddess is just an amazing.
I know. The chord changes.
Yeah.
Alone. The chord changes. I still struggle with them to this day. Every time I go do it at a hit, I always break out the sheet real quick.
Right.
Now, today, you can take an iPad to the hit and you can bring up chord changes on that bad boy. Can you imagine?
Yeah. Yo.
By the hairs of our chinny chin.
That's right. Yo, I love this time. I love this era. I love the technology. I love what we can do. And the fact that we have now been time travelers.
Yes.
60 years for me, 61 years for you.
Yeah.
We are able to do something that nobody else can do.
That's the deal.
We can bring
That's right.
bring that time
Right here, right now.
right here, right now.
And nobody else can do it.
No. And so many of us, my generation, are complaining. Oh, Spotify and iTunes, you can't make no money. You can't. I'm like, what are you saying? What are you, this
So
is,
many different ways.
oh my
So
God.
many different ways.
So many ways.
Licensing.
Licensing.
Everything with visual needs music
Needs
or
music.
audio.
The internet needs music, number
Right.
one. Okay.
Right.
Let's talk about Netflix. Let's talk about Hulu.
Right.
Prime. Let's talk about all those other video apps that aren't as popular as those are. Okay.
Right.
And all of the film guys out there making independent films for YouTube and for all those other small little
Right.
pocket apps for video, for movies and stuff. It's the wild, wild west, man.
It's unending.
It is. It's limitless at this
Right.
point. It's
Right.
And the work you can, if all you want to do is beats, you can sit down now
And do beats all day long.
Dude, I have a machine back here, and I have.
As long as you categorize them and put them in their proper place,
That's right.
you'd be surprised how much you can get for such a thing.
Let's talk about music for podcasts.
Wow.
Doing podcasts, they need music.
Sure.
They need music. So, video games. The average video game person, okay, is making 80 grand just doing music for video games. Okay?
Easy.
So, easy. And 80 grand, it may not be all the money in the world, and it may not be all that, but yo, 80 grand from doing video games, maybe another 10, 15 grand a year from doing some licensing, maybe another 10, 15 years from Spotify.
You're not standing in nobody's store telling anybody, can I help you, miss?
That's right. That's right.
Will that be cash or charge?
That's right.
The customer's always correct. You are the man when you're doing this on the internet. It's just,
Right.
oh my God, what a great time.
It is.
What a great time.
You just have to learn what to do.
Right.
The same way we have to learn our instruments, you have to learn what to do, because these are the instruments to make this stuff happen.
Right. And there's no reason why you should not be heard
Yeah.
in one way or the other.
That's right. That's right. So
There's a lane for you. There's a lane for you, and there's people eating off that lane too.
there's a lane for you. There's people eating off the lane, and there's a lot of lanes.
Yeah.
There's a lot. It's not just,
Amen, Dave.
not just two
Amen.
lanes anymore, man.
Amen.
You know?
Amen. Not just little bottleneck,
Yeah.
but everybody's coming through that bottleneck.
Yeah. I mean, come on. You got shelved. It was so bad back in those days. How many times, I don't know about you, but I can't tell you how many times I got kicked out the studio with my band because Hall & Oates booked the studio.
Right.
Okay? Or
Right.
one time Luther booked it and we got kicked out by Luther.
Right.
And we got kicked out by, what's his name? The guy from Long Island. Oh my God, how can I forget it? Longest time, whoa, for the long, what the heck is his name?
Billy Joel,
Thank you, Billy Joel. Love you just wait.
Glen Cove.
Yeah, man. I mean, all three of them kicked us out enough where we said, you know what, enough of this crap. And we began booking our sessions at 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning.
Right. Right.
You know,
Right.
save money on everything and increase your chances of not getting kicked out.
Right.
But it's all good. Let me wrap it up, but let me say goodbye to you, you know, and thank you so
Same
much
here. Same here.
for doing this, man. I really appreciate it. You have always been somebody that I just loved being around, especially back in those
Humble.
days. The fun,
Wow.
the fun we had back in those days, the crazy, the jokes, the silliness, you know.
It's a movie, actually, Dave.
It really is. And we need to think about that because it really, really is. You know, yeah, you need to think about that because it's a movie. It's a Netflix thing.
Right.
Thing. Cool, man.
All
Where
right.
can people find you, the band, social media?
The R&R Soul Orchestra. We can be found on Instagram. We can be found on Facebook. I'm currently working on putting up a website at this very moment, embarrassingly enough.
Okay.
But things are moving. Things are moving fast.
Yes.
We have vinyl out. We have, you can find us on iTunes. You can find us on Spotify. You can find us on YouTube. And our Facebook page, Instagram page.
Okay. All right. I will let them know. I'm going to put this is going to all be in the show notes and links
Thank
and
you,
stuff
sir.
on my website.
I
And
can't wait to see it.
it'll all be up there. You gave me all the stuff that I need to, so folks can follow you. And email the whole nine yards.
Thank you, Dave Knight. You were wonderful, and I love you. Thank you, sir.
It's all good. We shall catch up.